My name is Dr. Lori Worth, and I am the Provost and Chief Academic Officer at the University of Pikeville. Welcome to this very important and historical event in the life of two organizations in Pike County. Please allow me to introduce several of our distinguished guests who are here today. Governor Beshear, thank you for being here and having your security and your staff being here. I know that you've traveled quite a bit and you've been in Pike County this afternoon, so thank you for being here as well. Go Bears! Rocky, we appreciate your support of the University of Pikeville, Pikeville Medical Center, and in particular Eastern Kentucky. Your partnership does not go unnoticed, and we appreciate you for being here. Several legislators are here as well today. We appreciate your support of our community in Eastern Kentucky. Besides the 63rd governor of the Commonwealth, we have the 59th governor as well, Governor Paul Patton. Special welcome to Miss Tammy Riley. Tammy, without your support these last 2 years, we have not been possible to really do what we have in this community. We want to have special recognition for you as well. There are several trustees from the University of Pikeville and Pikeville Medical Center. We pause today to thank you for your leadership and support of both of our organizations. And lastly, I want to thank the University of Pikeville and Pikeville Medical Center staff and faculty. We have collaborated quite a bit this semester and the last few years in particular to plan for this event. We want to thank you for your work. We have 2 or 3 nursing students here as well. And as I walked in, I heard you all talking. I wonder what the announcement is about today, and we're excited to be able to present to you some exciting news. Without further ado, Dr. Burton Webb, would you open us up in some remarks? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Worth. This really is a great day. So many announcements at Pikeville Medical Center today, and then over at the Fiscal Court and other things happening in Eastern Kentucky. This is just a tremendous day. It's one of those rare days in which we can come together and celebrate some truly wonderful things that are happening here. Of course, things have been happening around Eastern Kentucky and certainly at the University of Pikeville for quite a while now. Many of you do not know what's happened on the floors above us over the course of the last several years. This building was the Community Technology Center built 21 years ago, dedicated 21 years ago. Luella was telling me this today in October. So we had an event here very much like this in this space. Governor Patton was speaking and dedicating this building. And since then, it has been transformed several times. It has been the home of the Technology Center where we train folks to use computers in Eastern Kentucky, and then very quickly they got home computers, and so that wasn't the need anymore, and then it became the home of our optometry school at first. And a couple of years ago, we had a wonderful occurrence on this campus when a donor who still wants to remain anonymous reached out to us and said, I want to do something in Eastern Kentucky. We're looking at several universities. I want to do something, and I want it to be in healthcare. Can you take me through what you would do with a gift? And we brought the donor to campus. We spent a whole day, and a week later they called us and said, we want you to build a place where you can train your nurses in their skills. And we really like that 3rd floor in the CTC. How much would it cost to do that? And we said, we think we can get it done for about $1 million. And the donor said, great, start. I want it done in 18 months. We got it done in 12 months. We invited the donor back. We took them on a tour. They walked through the space. And they looked at us at the end of that time and said, how much would it cost to do the rest of the building? And we gave them a number, and it was, David's in here. What was it, David? 15 minutes? They turned around and said, done. And they gave us $2.3 million to do what we've been able to do in this building. And you'll have an opportunity once this signing is done to go upstairs and to look at the 3rd and the 4th floor, to look at the skills lab and to look at the simulation center that is almost the same as walking through a floor of the hospital over at PMC. It's going to be a wonderful place where we can expand nurse training. Dr. Worth loves to tell this story, and I'm kind of surprised you didn't tell this story. about when she interviewed for this job and Mary Simpson was taking her on a tour through our then skills lab. Our then skills lab was about half the size of this room, and it only had 2 beds in it, and we were training about 30 nurses going through that space, and Mary looked at Dr. Worth and said, "We have to do better than this." Mary, have we done better? Tremendously better. Thank you. So today, we're excited to make a very important announcement, and it's my great honor to introduce someone who is a true friend of the institution. 4 years ago, I think, Donovan and I sat over in the optometry college, and we signed an agreement that said we would work together to transform healthcare and healthcare education in Eastern Kentucky, and this is another step down that pathway. Donovan, would you please come?
Burton, thank you so much. And, Burton's right. As the largest single regional healthcare provider and university within our region and the far outreach that we have, it was only fitting that the relationships that UPIKE and PMC had built be expanded. So we did that in the form of a document. And from then to now, along the way, we have worked together in so many different facets, not just in healthcare and education, but also in the name of our community. When you look, and I want to talk a little bit about nursing, and certainly, Governor, I want to say thank you, not only for attending the event and for the partnerships that we have, but as Rocky knows, for what you have worked on with us, with the Kentucky Hospital Association, and how you have supported healthcare through this pandemic in ways that I don't think history will not write. And I can't say enough, thank you. And a big part of that also relates not only to healthcare, but about job opportunity. So as Pikeville Medical Center, again, I said this earlier, we have about 1.7 million square feet that we manage, multiple services, 47 different buildings. But there's also people that the governor and Burton just acknowledged. It's our staff that makes it work. They're the ones that are wearing masks 12 hours a day, working 4 to 5 shifts, plenty of overtime. They're taking care of their communities, not just here, but across the nation. When you look at PMC, I currently have Michelle Rainey is our Chief Nursing Officer. We have about 900 nurses in our organization. 650 of them are bedside nurses. Our problem is that there is this huge thing called a pandemic that swept our country. There was already a nursing shortage, and this aspirated that. So when you look, and I know you can't see these slides, but I'm going to kind of show the point so that we can talk a little bit about what the program is that we're here to talk about today. So we're here to talk about the Rural Health Nursing Fellowship Program. And when you look at, this is Qualivis, which is a group that deals directly with KHA. This is a graph showing of what the need, the light green, which is hard to see, is what the typical need of a traveler nurse is, and the green is those that are outside that realm that's created additional demand. And if you'll see what's happened with the chart, this demand has gone through the roof. So what's happening is that agencies from outside the state are recruiting nurses at an unbelievable level. And because of that, we're bringing other nurses, and they're great nurses, into our community to take care of our patients, but they're not necessarily committed to the region always, and they come in and they leave. Now, again, these are great nurses, well-trained, and we're proud to have them. But what we really want to do is we want to create opportunities so that students from our area, whether they're traditional or non-traditional, can have the opportunity of looking for a great career. And that's what the governor, and that's what Rocky, and that's what the cabinet has been working with us on for the last 6 months, or longer actually. Before the 6 months, the governor sanctioned and put together a group that started talking about the need. We went down and met with the lieutenant governor and Rocky. The governor sent the lieutenant governor down last February, as a matter of fact, to talk about these issues and to see what we could do to solve this problem. I know there's a lot of work happening in the state level right now, but the cabinet stepped up, we had these conversations, and it kind of spawned what we're getting ready to announce. So when you look at the nursing shortfall, let me read a couple of headlines. American nursing shortage threatens our country's healthcare system. Travelers nurses demand reaches an all-time high. Pandemic has made shortage of healthcare workers even worse. It was ABC News, and all this, by the way, is in the last 2 months. All headlines in the last 2 months. NBC News, statewide nursing shortage persists as many leave industry. Nursing salaries on the rise amidst higher demand for their services. Fox News, CNN, Americans' ongoing nursing school shortage turned dire. So on and on and on, this is the theme. And hospitals, especially in the rural parts of the state, are struggling. And we've got to find a solution, because without a solution, there is a possible collapse of not necessarily the entire healthcare system, but offering specialty services that, as we discussed today, Governor, people have had too long, Rocky, to travel for. And Governor Pat knows it all too well, because it wasn't just happening today, it's been happening for decades. So when you look at the projection, right now, 1.1 million projected number of nurses required to replace retirements and meet the need by 2022. So the cabinet, under the governor's direction, working with Rocky, and Rocky and the lieutenant governor, as I said, opened their doors to a group of us that went down on a couple of occasions. We sat down and for 3 hours, as a matter of fact, to talk about the need. So as we came back and as the administration continues to work on it, the university and Pikeville Medical decided to launch a program, recognizing and realizing, as you hear some of the detail, that as things happen in Frankfort, that there'll be an adaptation to this program that will benefit our students, our fellows, our community, our institutions, and our region. So here's, real quick, I'm going to go through some of the overview of what this program is. So first of all, thanks to Lori, had the recommendation that we name it. We wanted something prestigious because that's what it is. So it's the Rural Health Nursing Fellowship Program. Fellows can apply for and enter the program with the use of a normal scholarship and apply for student loans as through the normal process. Fellows will commit to a 3-year employment commitment to PMC pursuant to a contract. So the fellow will sign a contract with PMC as they're going through the program. The program does not guarantee the fellow a job, but there's some good news on that, so bear with me. But the probability is extremely high because, again, it's the #1 most needed position in the U.S. right now. Upon graduation, passing their boards, and becoming a licensed RN in Kentucky, PMC will agree to pay the fellow directly for the student loan program over a 3-year period in equal payments, full payments. So traditional and non-traditional students will be able to come to this institution and leave with a job opportunity with no debt. Each year, during that 3 years that student works, when they finish their first year, 1/3 of that debt will be paid off directly to the student by PMC. As they finish their second year, 2/3. By their third year, it's debt-free. The program will start in the incoming class in January. PMC and UPIKE will work jointly to recruit students. Both, again, our intent is traditional and non-traditional. Here's the other part. If or when the state or federal or private funds become available, PMC's liability would be reduced for the said funding for the tuition cost. If it's being paid for by other entities, we're going to allow PMC would get the reduction. However, what happens at that point is then that student would then qualify, instead of having their tuition paid for, which would be paid for by an outside entity, they instead would get a $10,000 stipend upon the day that they start. The student would agree to take their boards within a short period of time upon graduating. UPIKE has agreed under the first year of the program, of which we hope to have the first year around 80 students initially, with an intent of hopefully growing with some additional work. But 90% of the seats that are available would qualify for this program. The university wanted the opportunity for other students that may be outside the area that would want to go elsewhere to still have the opportunity to come into the university, and we certainly want to support that. This is a 2-year associate's degree. We are working, again, with the administration in hopes of expanding this program. PMC worked with the Pike County Superintendent this past year Reed Atkins. We had 2 schools in the county that had CNA programs. We now have every school in the county with CNA programs, which again heightens the pool and allows us more students to recruit from. As I mentioned, the contract will be between us and the students. If the student drops out of the program, then they would not qualify, so they have to fulfill the program in order to qualify for the loan forgiveness. However, upon passage, PMC would have 60 days, once that they pass their board, and once that they become a licensed nurse, we would have 60 days to make our decision whether to hire that employee or not. Now understand, if we have 80 people graduating at one time, we may not need 80 spots. We will though, you're right. But just in case, we build it in. But what we said is, heck, if you come in and you go through the program and you pass it and we don't hire you in 60 days, you're free to go anywhere else that you want within our region and we still pay for your tuition. Those that we would hire would be full-time students, full-time employees, once they become fellows to RNs. And at that point, we would pay them our normal start rate. So there's not a reduced rate. We pay what our normal rate is, and they would qualify for our full-time benefits. And by the way, Forbes last year ranked Pikeville Medical Center as the #1 hospital in the state of Kentucky for benefits and the #4 business in the state of Kentucky in benefits. So we're very proud of what we have. We're very proud of this partnership. I'm proud of my friend, Governor. I can't thank you enough for opening the door to create a program like this to work and for your support. And I'm excited to get names on sheets of paper soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Donovan. So in just a few minutes, Governor Beshear, you'll come with some comments. What some of us may not know, I think you had a birthday a few days ago. Happy belated birthday to you. Thank you for your support of the Commonwealth of Education, health education. We really appreciate your leadership. Governor Beshear.
Thank you all. Thank you. Did I choose the right mask for today? What an institution that I know has had great presidents, Governor Patton, over the years. Thank you to this institution for the students that you educate, for pursuing that mission in Kentucky on higher education. And my goodness, thank you for being innovative here today with a challenge that we face. This has been a good day. Even in the midst of a pandemic, we have done the groundbreaking for an expansion of the Cancer Center. We've cut the ribbon for the opening of the Children's Hospital. We've announced millions of dollars of water and sewer and ultimately of infrastructure to bring up the industrial sites here in Pike County. This is a pretty good day. And now, what we're seeing is something we haven't heard from anywhere else in the state. It's people coming together, trying to find a solution that is desperately needed. And again, it's being done in a time of a pandemic. If people now don't acknowledge that healthcare is a basic human right, they have been living on this planet the last 19 months. I used to think that access to healthcare was a difference between right and wrong and healthy and unhealthy. It is a difference between life versus death. You know, these last 19 months have been hard. I'd say they've been hard on me. They've been harder on our healthcare workers. Day in and day out, showing up to do their very best. Day in and day out, losing people, some of which didn't have to be lost. Day in and day out, wondering when that last day will be that we're going to be fighting this pandemic. And let's not kid ourselves. We call it a virus, we call it a pandemic, but we're in a battle against death. That's what we're fighting every single day, to try to save the loved ones around us. And every moment that we argue with each other instead of fight together against death is a moment that we lose one of our neighbors. But this front line in this war, because it is a war, it's going to take more people in this country than World War II, Vietnam, and Korea put together by the end of it. It's not being fought directly by our soldiers, but boy, Haven't our National Guard done a great job in helping us out? But it's being fought by our health care heroes, warriors, every single day. And what we have seen as our hospitals hit that critical point, something that I prayed would never happen, but this Delta variant was that big of an adversary, is we saw what happens when you can't staff a bed. We saw what happens when ultimately you have to take on more and more patients, convert more space into an ICU, ultimately sometimes even outsource some of that care to others in the community that can lift it up. We cannot let that happen ever again. And part of that is addressing a nursing shortage that is real. It was real before this pandemic, but it's been heightened by the pandemic. It's both from predatory outside groups, taking people away at a time that we are desperate for them, as well as just the difficulty of every single day for 2 years fighting this fight. But what you are seeing today is an investment in our nurses, and what an incredible program. First, let me tell you, you get through this program, you are going to have a job. And think about how many openings there are in Eastern Kentucky. There are over 1,000 openings in Eastern Kentucky with good pay. As your governor, what I wouldn't do to attract a new industry that has 1,000 jobs at that pay. This isn't just the right thing for our healthcare system, it's the right thing for our people. It's how we get people of this region into good jobs, being able to stay in this region and to be able to take care of one another. And let me say, the state is ready to be a good partner. We recognize that there are impediments and barriers at the state level that need to be addressed. And you're going to see us working to address those even before the next legislative session, but know that you've got legislators here that are ready to listen and to work. We've got caps on our nursing programs when some of them are full, are able to train more, and simply because of a regulation haven't been allowed to. We've got to address that. We have outdated ratios of students to supervisors, whether it's on floors, as we've learned through this pandemic, or whether it's in programs. We've got to update that. And we got to make sure that programs like this, that we can be flexible with our nursing programs so that we can ultimately support you and to make this work. And you know what? At a time when we are desperate for more nurses, I'm going to include a loan forgiveness program in my recommended budget to the General Assembly. And so provided that we get that passed, and I look forward to working with everybody on getting that passed, it means folks in this program not only would have a good job waiting for them, not only would get loan forgiveness, but would have $10,000 in their pocket. How nice is that? You know, again, I really commend the leadership here in the legislative delegation, at the hospital, at the university. This is above and beyond many of the normal programs we're doing. It's trying to find a way to help in the middle of a crisis. And I've seen what it can mean. Because at the height of when we were getting hit so hard, when we were running out of beds, I went to a picnic. Doesn't sound like it's that big of a deal, but I went to a picnic honoring nurses. And there, I talked to the leaders of several nursing programs around Kentucky. And one of them said, "It's time for us to step up and help." And I said, "Great, what do you got?" She said, "I got 2,000 nursing students." And I said, "Great, how many can we use?" She said, 2,000 nursing students. They and others deployed at the most difficult time along with that National Guard, walked into our hospitals. You saw enthusiasm immediately pick up, offered another set of helping hands, and we have hundreds, if not thousands of people that are alive because we were willing to get over some of those impediments, to do the right thing, and to get more folks at least in a nursing program in these hospitals. This program has my full support. We're going to make it a huge success. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Governor, for your comments and remarks. I was looking over at Governor Patton, and I know under that mask he was smiling. I know you've been an advocate for education, so I'm sure this made you happy. It's time in our program for our signing ceremony. Mr. President, Mr. CEO, there is our signing document. If you would please sign right above your name as we celebrate the partnership in Pikeville, Kentucky. As rural communities, we come together in partners within this community to benefit students, benefit education, moving that forward, and in particular, nursing education. It's like, do you want to read those documents? You're good. All right.